What's up, everyone? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast, off-season edition, your home of the 2024 World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Hope everyone's having a nice month of November. I know Thanksgiving's just around the corner. I feel like once Thanksgiving comes and goes, that's when the stove will really kick into high gear. But we've got some rumors to talk about. We'll get into all that in just a couple minutes. Some massive kind of breaking news involving your Los Angeles Dodgers. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button while you're here. We'll get to some of your guys' questions as well if you want to drop them below in the chat. And this is Kevin Klein passing it over to Jake Reiner. What's up, Jake? What's new with you? What do you want to talk about? Anything on your mind? What's up?
Well, how are you, Kevin? That's it's good to see you. This offseason is very a relaxing ones where the Dodgers obviously have a lot of needs in terms of like holes that they've got to shore up. The bullpen needs some help. They need to figure out what's going on in the outfield, also the starting rotation as well. So there's a lot of different holes that they need to plug up. But the best thing about this offseason is the fact that they just won the title. And so the luxury of that is you get to kind of sit back and relax and see kind of where the chips fall. As I've mentioned, and I'll continue to mention it every single podcast until he is a Los Angeles Dodger once again, Teoscar Hernandez remains my number one overall free agent signing that I hope that they get done. And the rest I don't really care as much about. So he is my number one above everything else. And once we get that done, then let the fun begin.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I know the deadline is coming up where Teoscar Hernandez will either have to accept or decline the qualifying offer. And it's most likely he's going to decline the qualifying offer. And I think once that announcement comes through, his market will really start to heat up. But that domino might not fall until this big chip finds his home. And it's kind of breaking news because in the last hour and a half or an hour, whatever it's been, Mark Feinsand of MLB and John Heyman of the New York Post both confirmed that the Los Angeles Dodgers have a meeting tomorrow in California with the most coveted large free agent out there in Juan Soto. Kind of contradicts what I was talking about a few days ago with Bob Nightingale's reporting, who said he didn't think the Dodgers were in on Juan Soto. Apparently, that is not the case. The Dodgers have a meeting with Juan Soto Tuesday afternoon, and then we'll get more details, obviously, once that meeting takes place. There's a number of teams in on Soto. The Red Sox had a meeting. The Toronto Blue Jays are expected to be aggressive. The Yankees have a meeting after the Dodgers, and of course, the New York Mets are expected to highly pursue Juan Soto as well. So, Jake, with the Dodgers meeting Juan Soto tomorrow, where do you want to get started on this topic? It's definitely an interesting update.
Yeah, it's a very interesting update. And I'm wondering if it's because the Dodgers are just going to be in on every single big free agent, no matter who it is, no matter if the fit is obvious or not. So for them to be in discussions with Juan Soto is not shocking or surprising, but it would be shocking and surprising if the Dodgers were to win the Juan Soto sweepstakes and sign him, given the fact that he was already a New York Yankee. They obviously want him back there. And it looks as if the Yankees are going to be competing heavily with the Mets. That's what Mark Feinsand was reporting of MLB.com. He's the one that reported that the Dodgers are going to be meeting with Soto. But he talked to an executive or a source that basically said that it's basically between the Mets and the Yankees. And if Steve Cohen really wants Juan Soto, then he's going to be a New York Met, because as we've seen with Cohen, he's willing to spend as much money as there is, as he has for any free agent that he wants. Here's how I feel about Juan Soto. The Dodgers don't need him. And the Dodgers have won multiple World Series without Juan Soto. It seemed as though right before the Dodgers won the 2020 title, they were a player away. So they went and got Mookie Betts, and he kind of pushed them over the edge. Then as we got to 2024, it was about Shohei Ohtani. And the Dodgers needed a player like Shohei Ohtani to really push them across the finish line And that's exactly what they did. They went and got arguably the best player in baseball, and then the Dodgers won the World Series. In order to repeat, the Dodgers can repeat with or without Juan Soto. And that's just a fact. I truly believe that. The problem with Juan Soto is obviously you're going to be paying him a shit ton of money. And what does that mean for the rest of the free agents that you're going for? That's number one. Number two is the fact that he's very bad defensively. So the Dodgers already reported out there, it's already been talked about that they are going to most likely move Mookie Betts back to the infield, preferably at second base. I hope they don't make him a shortstop again because that was a disaster. So with that news coming out, it sort of indicates to all the free agent outfielders out there that there is an opening in Los Angeles, one of them being for Teoscar Hernandez, I'm assuming. And now the Dodgers are kind of positioned to get Juan Soto. Now, I don't know if the Dodgers are going to be used as sort of a pawn in this whole scheme to jack up the price to make one of the New York teams pay a little bit more. But I am not confident the Dodgers are going to sign Juan Soto because I don't feel like he is a top priority for them.
I would put like the odds of Juan Soto signing with the Dodgers at like a 3%. I don't feel very confident at all that it would happen. And Soto going to the Dodgers feels like it would be just like Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors to me, because Juan Soto doesn't put the Dodgers on top or over the top, because we are already at the top right now. And it's not really about adding more riches to an already pretty rich organization. When we talk about pitching later on, that's where I feel like we need to prioritize. And as great of a hitter as Juan Soto is, he's a superstar, future Hall of Fame player, it sure looks like, without a doubt it, and would certainly help the Dodgers offensively. I just don't feel like he is a fit for the team, not character-wise, not off the field wise, just from a pure lineup construction standpoint. I mean, let's look at what the Dodgers lineup would look like if you add Juan Soto. So you've got, let's say Mookie Betts goes back to the leadoff spot. They go Shohei second, and then Soto third, and then Freeman fourth.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty interesting, but
it would be just a murderer's row.
That would be an insane lineup and a tough ask for any opposing starting pitcher or reliever to get those guys out. But I mean, I'm not here to bash Soto. He's a top 5 player, MVP most years with the season he put up, but Aaron Judge just went nuts. I feel like the Dodgers are totally being played for leverage right now to get his market ask up. This is what Scott Boras loves to do to the Los Angeles Dodgers. He has meetings with all the top players in our organization, and then a lot of them, for the most part, when they're Boras clients, end up signing elsewhere. And this feels like another case. It's easy for Juan Soto to stay out near Boras Corp because I believe he owns a home in Coronado from his playing time with the San Diego Padres and didn't sell that house. And so he's just hanging out, and Newport's not a very far drive from San Diego. So they'll have their meeting. If I had to guess what the Dodgers contract offer would be to Juan Soto, I can't see them paying over $600 million for him. It would probably be similar to what they tried to do with Bryce Harper. Let's just do a stupid 5 or 6 year deal. We'll give you like $80 million a year and call it a day. I don't foresee the Dodgers offering Soto 12 to 15 years. It just seems like too big of a contract for someone that we don't need, to be honest.
Right. And the Dodgers are going to be spending their money elsewhere. That is on the starting pitching market. There are so many options. We'll get into Corbin Burnes, I'm sure, in a minute, but there's Blake Snell, there's Roki Sasaki. The Dodgers have to figure out, Teoscar Hernandez and Blake Trinan and, what they're going to do with the bullpen and all of those things. And there's so many other needs that they have that, a $600 million right fielder is not one of them. So I don't want to get Dodgers fans' hopes up because there is a meeting on the books, but I'm just looking at the landscape here from the macro perspective, and I just don't see it. I don't see the fit, and I don't see it actually going to happen.
And I'll just add one other thing to close out my thoughts on Soto for tonight, unless we get more questions involving him. But Juan Soto is not the only good outfielder that exists in Major League Baseball. Like, if you don't get Juan Soto, the last 5 teams have proven they can win the World Series without Juan Soto on their roster. So this isn't like getting LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry on your team. Major League Baseball teams are designed very differently, and you don't need another star player like Juan Soto to guarantee you win a World Series. We just beat Juan Soto in the World Series. And like, look at the Yankees lineup this most recent season. You had Juan Soto in right field, but who was their left fielder? Alex Verdugo. I feel like the Dodgers can almost match that those stats if you have Teoscar Hernandez back in left field, and then you get a boost from Andy Pages. I feel like those two with some platoon guys like Edman, and it won't be Betts, so they'll have to figure that out. But they'll find another outfielder. They can almost match that per duo production with Soto and Verdugo if you get Teoscar and Pages and someone else. So I'm not really worried about Juan Soto. I don't feel like it's Soto or bust for the Dodgers this offseason.
But also, like, even if you don't match that, right, with Teoscar Hernandez and an Andy Pages, you still have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani. So I you know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of a moot point. And you made the point, which is what I was going to say, is that the Dodgers just beat Juan Soto in the World Series. And when he was on the Padres, they made it to the NLCS, but they got beat by the Phillies. So, you know, I mean, yes, he won a title with the Nats in 2019, but okay, great.
Okay, so pitching is a good subject to go to next. I don't have any position players to discuss besides Soto, which we just covered. I don't know how much stock you can put into John Morosi. The guy has kind of lost my trust in all reporting after he just threw it out there on social media that Shohei Ohtani was on a plane to Toronto. And it seems like his sources were Twitter, because I remember we had Bob Nightingale on the show and we asked him about this whole incident. And he told us he texted Ohtani's agent, and Ohtani's agent was very transparent. There was no plane to Toronto, and Nightingale was able to debunk these facts like almost instantly.
Yep.
And so I don't know what Morosi's sources were, but they were probably the same as JP Hornstra's, which is just bullshit. But anyways, he says that the Dodgers and the Baltimore Orioles are like the 2 teams on top right now in this Corbin Burnes market. It's very early, and I expect a couple more teams to jump in. But let's talk about Corbin Burnes. How do you feel about Burnes? Where do you stand on this pitcher? And then we'll go from there.
Personally, I love Corbin Burnes. I think he's kind of overlooked in a lot of ways in terms of the top talent pitching wise in Major League Baseball. And I think because he played for the Milwaukee Brewers and he's played for the Baltimore Orioles, 2 kind of smaller market teams that don't get a lot of national media attention. So I feel like he's kind of flown under the radar a little bit, even though he is a Cy Young Award winner. But he is he's 30 years old. So he's going into his age 30/31 season. And yeah, he'll turn 31 next October. So this is his age 30 season. I think he's very durable. He throws a ton of innings every single year. He rarely is hurt. In 22, he had 202 innings. In 23, he had 193 innings. And then this year, 194 innings. He's very, very durable. He ended up pitching for the Orioles in the playoffs. So that is very attractive to me. The Dodgers tend to go after a lot of injury-prone pitchers like a Glass now. We couldn't foresee what happened with Yamamoto, but he got hurt. So signing a guy like Burnes is a good option if you like durability. The only issue is the age, and how long are you willing to go for a Corbin Burnes type of contract. And the other thing is that the Dodgers have a very right-handed heavy rotation. Depending on if, Clayton Kershaw comes back, it's all righties. So I don't know if that factors into their decision-making, if they'd rather go for a Blake Snell over a Corbin Burnes. But yeah, I mean, If you told me that the Dodgers are going to sign Corbin Burnes, I would not be upset.
Last season, it was reported that the Dodgers had a pretty competitive offer for Aaron Nola, who ultimately went back to the Philadelphia Phillies. We know they were pretty aggressive for Garrett Cole when he was a free agent back after 2019. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers have a pretty competitive offer for Corbin Burnes as well. He's a pitcher I've talked about pretty highly in the past. He's not number one on my board. My number one is still Blake Snell, kind of for the reasons you talked about. I want a lefty in the rotation, but the Dodgers just won a World Series with all right-handed starters. So maybe that narrative is put to rest now with what
I mean, we had what, 3 right-handed starters and then a bullpen game. It would be nice to have at least one more pitcher, whether he's right-handed or left-handed.
Yeah, and Corbin Burnes is a dog. He eats innings. Obviously, what he's done in the past isn't necessarily a lock to repeat in the future, but I feel like his age doesn't scare me. It's probably going to cost around 200 million, 7-8 years. And I'm fine with that. As long as he has at least 5 good years with the Dodgers, then you deal with the aftermath. He'd be an awesome add to the Dodgers rotation. No doubt about it. I like him. I would not be mad at all if the Dodgers end up signing him. I'll leave it at that for now. Corbin Burnes is awesome. Bakersfield guy. After the Dodgers won the World Series, he tweeted or quote tweeted with some like eye emojis after the Dodgers won. So clearly he's intrigued. I don't know how much stock to put into that, but that was apparently the real Corbin Burnes. And after dealing with all the bullshit in Milwaukee, he finally got a little taste of success in Baltimore, and that was a better organization in my opinion. He'd probably love to come to the Dodgers. It'd be like what Tyler Glasnow said earlier this year. He gets to go to a team where there's offense behind him.
I agree, but if I'm an Orioles fan, I'd be pissed if they don't re-sign Corbin Burnes. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be a blow, but I think it comes with the territory when you trade for a Scott Boras client.
Yep.
But yeah, Corbin Burnes instantly becomes a top 3 arm in the rotation. I'm not counting Sasaki yet until he's posted. But Blake Snell, Garrett Crochet, Corbin Burnes, in that order, are my top 3 targets.
Love it.
I don't think I have anything else to add for Corbin Burnes right now until we get more insight with what his market looks like. But why don't I go to the chat right now and see what people are saying? If you guys want to drop your questions, go for it. Then I'll pass it over to Jake to see if he has anything he wants to cover. And then we're going to get into some Dodger grades. It's time to do the report card and hand out some A's and some F's where applicable. So Hepatitis See You Later says, with all due respect, we have no MLB caliber outfielders as it stands right now. There's definitely a need or fit for an outfielder like Soto, unless you guys view Outman, Pages, Taylor as MLB caliber. I mean, Andy Pages is most definitely MLB caliber.
Yep.
I'm pretty confident he's going to be their starting right fielder or left fielder, depending on who they sign next season. And then you've got Edman, looks like probably in center fielder. And then we'll see what they do with Dalton Rushing. Maybe he becomes their left fielder with time.
Yeah, I mean, Pages is an MLB caliber outfielder, and so is Tommy Edman. So they've got that. And with Mookie Betts moving to the infield, they're going to – I really am confident they're going to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. I think the Dodgers ownership knows what he means to this team, how he's become a fan favorite, and his own desire to play for the Dodgers. I really feel like they're going to get this done. So you're going to have 3 MLB caliber outfielders out there if they don't end up signing another outfielder as well.
Shout out to BC, who's a loyal listener. If they're serious about repeating, they sign 2 starting pitchers, including a lefty ace and an impact bat. Couldn't agree more. That's exactly what my formula would look like. I think they need to sign 2 starters.
At least 2 starters. I mean, they signed 2 starters last offseason, and it looked like we were pretty stacked. Even though Glasnow came over in a trade, we did sign him to an extension, and then Yamamoto. I think they've got to do the same thing again. Oh, right. And Paxton. So yes, they are, that is at the very least signing 2 starting pitchers.
Unpopular opinion from Maria G. I don't think Roki signs with the Dodgers. Okay. History man 0828. Dodgers are the defending champions. So for the most part, outside of letting some players go, who may better fit other teams? Bring them all back in 2025 and maybe add a couple players here and there. Oh, exactly. Kike, Treinen, maybe Bueller. Run it back. Infinite Dodger. I think Soto is the type of player that should have a groundbreaking contract littered with opt-outs and high AAV while still guaranteeing him with hundreds of $1 million. That does seem like a fair point. Just going to scroll through the comments real quick to see if there's anything else to say. Tofkowski, Roki Sasaki is the priority for Andrew Friedman right now, with Tio and a southpaw after. That seems kind of on par with what I'm thinking as well. So, anything else you want to cover, Jake? Any topics? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit of Roki Sasaki since it did come out. Jim Bowden, who is a former general manager and also a contributor for The Athletic, was reporting that he didn't feel that the Dodgers are going to sign Roki Sasaki. He's the only detractor that I've seen in terms of where the Dodgers stand with Roki Sasaki that said that he won't be a Los Angeles Dodger. And I don't know if I really trust Jim Bowden. I really don't. I mean, he's the guy that infamously said that Nolan Arenado was going to be a Dodger by Christmas a few seasons ago, and that never wasn't even close to happening. So I don't know if I fully trust him. Certainly, the Dodgers can't sway Sasaki with money. I think we talked about that last time. Because of his age, he's going to be signing a rookie deal, a minor league deal, not a rookie deal, a minor league deal, and whatever international signing bonus money the Dodgers can allocate is not really going to break the bank. So it truly is about where Roki wants to play and what his vision of how he wants his career to go. He either wants to join the super team with the Dodgers and joining Yamamoto and Ohtani, which is one of the most, if not the most attractive place for him to land, I think, in terms of wanting to win more championships, or certainly being eligible to win more championships. But then there's the other side of the coin where he may want to go to a team that isn't a quote unquote super team that didn't just win the World Series, which are 29 other organizations. And he may want to chart his own path and be the guy in some other organization like the Yankees or the Mets, to name a couple teams.
I'm going to always cling on to the what is it? The prediction that Bob Nightingale said on AM 570 a few days ago. 98% chance the Dodgers signed Roki Sasaki. So I'm putting all my eggs in that prediction. He said 30 of 30 teams believe Roki Sasaki will sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sasaki seems like a shoo-in to be a Dodger, but until the pen meets the paper, I guess we can't call it a done deal just yet. So we'll see what happens with Roki, but I'm very excited for the very strong possibility that he could be with the Dodgers next season. So I can't wait to talk about him a lot, hopefully next year, because he's going to be a sensation. And once we get kind of everyday eyes on this guy, I think a lot of Dodger fans are going to kind of understand the hype behind what is Roki Sasaki. Last question coming from Jaime Gonzalez, and then we'll take a quick pause from the questions. This is a pretty good question because it is off-season related. Thoughts on Tim Kelly of Bleacher Report predicting Ha-Seong Kim signing with the Dodgers on a 1-year deal?
I like it. I think that if they don't get like a Willy Adames, let's say, because that's the other big name guy out there that they could go for, then I'm fine with Ha-Seong Kim. The only issue I have is that, he was hurt for the majority of the season last year. So he is a little injury prone for my taste, but in terms of his ability to play the position, I like him. I like his bat. I wouldn't see any problem with them signing him on a 1-year deal if they don't get like their shortstop of the future.
I know that there's another Dodgers podcast out there that claims they're all about covering minor leaguers, but for some reason he's their number one free agent off-season acquisition target. Personally, I'd be very underwhelmed if we signed Ha-Seong Kim. You just mentioned he was hurt most of last year, and he did undergo, I think, a shoulder surgery and a torn labrum. I don't think that's going to carry over next season very well and be in our favor. I think he's going to be kind of damaged goods. And I'm just looking at his career stats, and he's kind of a noodle bat. 242 career batting average, 326 on base, 706 OPS. I mean, it's basically like Gavin Lux all over again. The only difference is he's a wizard defensively, probably one of the best defensive infielders in Major League Baseball. But I feel like we're kind of past that stage now. I'd rather get something that has a little bit more of a potent bat. And in the postseason, he's ass. He's a 186 lifetime hitter in the playoffs. I mean, it's only 3 series, but 186, 542 OPS. No home runs. Like we can do better than Ha-Seong Kim, who is basically a washed Padre in my book at this point. So I'll pass.
Yeah, I think he would be good in a pinch. I don't think that he is the shortstop of the future. I don't think anybody's saying that. But if they don't get a Willy Adames, if they're not getting a guy that can be their shortstop for the foreseeable future, and Ha-Seong Kim is still available and left, I don't see what the harm in doing a 1-year deal. I mean, would you rather? It's sort of like, would you rather have run Miguel Rojas back out there with his age and limited range?
We'll go Edman.
Or you put Edman there, but then who's playing center field?
I'd rather take a flyer on a 1-year center fielder, I think, than Ha-Seong Kim. I don't know who it would be. Maybe Tyler O'Neill can play some center. I don't know. I'd really have to dig into it, but I'd rather find a 1-year center fielder or give Outman a shot in spring training and see if he can turn his career around. But sure. I'm just not excited with Kim. I could be dead wrong about him, but I just have never been impressed with him. Okay, so let's do some report cards now, Jake. I feel like this is usually one of the off-season segments that can enter heated debates. Do you want to start with pitchers or hitters?
Let's do pitchers.
All right, let's start with the bullpen first.
Are you just pulling up the roster right now?
I'm on a 2024 Los Angeles Dodgers statistics on Baseball Reference and kind of going off that so that I don't miss anybody.
All right, I'll join you there.
So some of these guys are like, I'll start at number 7 with Evan Phillips. So I'll just give you the 5 names, and then you don't have to go into depth on all these guys. You can just give a quick letter grade, and I'll do the same. And if you want to elaborate on someone, go for it. Chat, you do the same. Let us know. So we'll start with these 5. Do you have the list up in front of you?
I do, yeah.
All right. So at number 7, there's Evan Phillips, Alex Vesia, Daniel Hudson, Anthony Bonda, and Blake Trinan. Start with those 5, the kind of core high leverage guys.
Yeah, are we just going to go one by one, give letter grades, and then a little explanation?
Yeah, you don't have to do an explanation on every player.
All right. Well, Evan Phillips is an A for me. I think that he's burst onto the scene for the Dodgers as one of the most underrated high leverage relievers in all of Major League Baseball. I guarantee you, if you polled all the fans that aren't Dodgers fans out there, not a lot of them would know who Evan Phillips is. He's very quiet, under the radar, but he's lethal. And you can bring him into any situation and he'll be able to figure a way out of it. Now, this season, he did show some signs of being human. And he did get knocked around a little bit, and he was a little bit injured. I believe he was left off the World Series roster, right? So that was kind of concerning, but he's as solid as they come. I love him. I'm going to give him an A. Then did you want to go? Do you want me to finish the rest of this group, then you go?
Go for it, yeah.
All right. Alex Vesia, A+. I love this guy. He's an absolute dog, high leverage reliever. He had a 1.76 ERA this year in the regular season, was an absolute beast in the postseason. Can't say enough about the guy. Daniel Hudson, I just appreciate him for giving it a shot. I mean, this guy's dealt with so many injuries, whether it's the multiple Tommy Johns or the knee surgery or the knee injury and all of that. and he's come back every single time. And the fact that he retired as a champion is so cool. He didn't really do much for us this year, so I'll give him like a B or a C. They didn't really need to rely on him too much as a high leverage guy down the stretch. Anthony Banda, A. Love this guy. Love what he brings. He stepped up when Alex Vesio was a little injured, and he really was a force there. I mean, he did screw up his hand after an outing. He punched a wall, I think, and hurt himself, which that's kind of sucks. But again, he was a great addition to this team. Blake Trinan, A+. The guy's a dog. I love Blake Trinan. He's one of my favorite relievers ever. And I would love for the Dodgers to bring him back. I think they need to make that a priority. A+ for Blake Trinan. The way he showed us what he was made of in Game 5 of the World Series to give the Dodgers a chance to win that game. When Dave Roberts went out to the mound and left him out there and he finished the job, I couldn't have been happier with what Blake Trinan gave the Dodgers this year.
So for Evan Phillips, I'll give him a solid B. He did kind of have streaks where he faltered and was inconsistent at times. Alex Vestia, A+. Daniel Hudson, B-. Anthony Banda, A. And Blake Trinan, A. The next batch, and I'll start it off. So Landon Knack, Ryan Yarbrough, Jack Flaherty's in here, Michael Grove, Robleski, Honeywell, and Joe Kelly. So Landon Knack, B-. Ryan Yarbrough, C. Jack Flaherty, I'll give him an A-. I felt like Jack Flaherty got a lot of unnecessary disrespect because he blew up a couple times in the postseason, but he also won a couple huge postseason games for the Dodgers and helped put us in a position to help clinch the series. And you got to set the tone in these initial games, and that's exactly what Jack Flaherty did. Those game ones or game twos that he pitched for us and helped us get a win, those were massive because it gives the Dodgers a cushion and gives them the luxury to punt games. Also, he was just a dog in the regular season and was huge for us. Michael Grove, F, flat out awful. Hopefully they non-tender his ass, which I don't think they will, but I don't expect him to be a Dodger next season. Michael Grove is one of those pitchers that somehow gets worse every season. Instead of getting better, he just regresses. He had an ERA over 5 last year. Robleski, C-. I appreciate his high jump from AA to the majors. Honeywell Jr., B+. Joe Kelly, D-.
So the only thing I'll just say, because I agreed with all your grades there, is about Jack Flaherty. Like, yes, he pitched a couple of big games for us, and yes, he also blew up a couple times. But also, I give him so much credit for one thing, which is he was fucking available, which not a lot of these starting pitchers on this team can say that. And the fact that he was available, didn't have a dead arm or didn't shy away from the moment, I loved it. I also loved his tenacity against the Padres when he screamed at Machado. They had their whole thing back and forth. I just love those guys on your team. Just the attitude, grit guys. Jack Flaherty is one of those guys. So I completely agree with everything. Yeah, Michael Grove, absolute F. I don't know why they keep running him back out there. He's not improved. He has regressed. He's never been good. Justin Robleski, I agree with your assessment there. We just got to see a little bit more. And I think that we, didn't really get to see all of what he's capable of, even though he did not have a good showing last year.
All right, I'll let you start with these next ones. I feel like Kershaw we should just omit because it was a kind of a non-year for him. So we'll go with Johan Ramirez, Ryan Brazier, Michael Kopech.
River Ryan.
I think after that, I think we can skip pretty much everyone else because they either barely pitched or they were injured.
Well, what about we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I love that Kike Hernandez is on this list.
Yeah.
For pitchers. Johan Ramirez, he went out there and pitched. He was bad. F. Ryan Brazier. I'm a big Ryan Brazier fan, but this year he was hurt and he wasn't that great, but he did pitch well in those bullpen games, some of them. So I'm going to give him a B. Michael Kopech, A. Absolutely. The guy was an absolute, a massive pickup. I was completely wrong about him when we traded for him because he was pretty ass before on the White Sox. And then he came to the Dodgers and just absolutely balled out, became one of our most effective high leverage relievers. He was a little wild at times, but boy, he has some life on that fastball. River Ryan, I loved. I was really sad to see him go down with an injury because when he was pitching, he was cooking. So I'm going to give him like a B/A. And then, yeah, we can skip the rest of these guys. I mean, we could talk about Gratterall. He was huge in the playoffs when he did pitch. But he's going to have surgery this offseason. He's been injury prone a lot. But the other guy that I think we need to just mention real quick is Ben Kasparius. I love that guy. He went out there when called upon and got the job done for the most part. So I'll give him a B as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, with Ryan Brazier, I agree with all your grades. Yeah, Ryan Brazier missed a lot of the season. He had like a C-worthy season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers somehow flip this guy this offseason for new relievers. Freeman's been able to pull this off in the past. I know he traded Dylan Floro for what eventually became Alex Vesia. So wouldn't leave it past Freeman to maybe flip Brazier if the opportunity exists. But yeah, we're not going to talk about guys like Dinelson Lamet or Ricky Vanasco or Nabil
Chrismat.
Yep. long forgotten legends and Nick Ramirez was just awful.
How about Connor Brogdon with his 18.0 ERA?
Connor Brogdon, who's now a free agent and no longer a part of the Dodgers organization. So roster spot has open. All right, we got six more starting pitchers, then we'll get into hitters. Gavin Stone, Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, James Paxton, Walker Buehler, and Bobby Miller. So I'll let you go first since the last bunch wasn't much.
Gavin Stone, A-. I think that he was one of the most, he definitely was one of the most durable starters that we had. And then he got hurt, but he had a really good season, a really good regular season. Unfortunate that he got hurt. So I'm going to give him, what did I say? A-. Tyler Glasnow, again, I'm going to give him an A as well, A or A-. Had a great regular season, was fairly durable, pitched more innings than he's ever pitched in his career, which we love, but inevitably he got hurt and wasn't available for the postseason. So maybe I'll give him a minus for that, although you can't really control injuries. Yamamoto, A for what he did in the playoffs. Didn't pitch much in the regular season, but showed up when it mattered most outside of that one San Diego start that was bad, but the Dodgers ended up winning that game anyway. So it was kind of a wash. James Paxton, C, he was kind of bad, even though he was available and pitched, he ate up some innings for us, but he had a 4.43 ERA. So C for him. Walker Buehler, terrible in the regular season, but because of what he did in the postseason, I'm giving him an A, just based on that. Big game pitcher when we needed him the most, turned into old Walker Buehler when we needed him the most. And I don't think we win that title without him. So I'm going to give him an A just for his postseason performance. Bobby Miller, D/F. He was so bad this year. And lost he was hurt for a time, and then he ended up coming back and was healthy and was basically a healthy scratch the rest of the way because he was so bad.
Mostly similar to you, Gavin Stone, A-. Sucks he got hurt. Tyler Glasnow, A. He was our ace and an all-star in the first half, and can't really control him getting hurt. He ate up the second most innings of all the starters. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and James Paxton, surprisingly, both made 18 starts and basically had the same amount of innings pitched, 90 versus 89. Yamamoto, I'll give him an A- because he did have a couple blowups, but for the most part was absolutely clutch when it mattered most. James Paxton gets a C because he was basically a league average pitcher. Walker Buehler, I'm also giving a C. Even though you mentioned how he carried in the regular season, we almost didn't win the division because of Walker Buehler in the regular season. He had a number of blowups, had an ERA over 5 in the regular season, a FIP of over 5, WHIP of 1.5, didn't pitch deep. And because of his A-worthy postseason and almost F-worthy regular season, I'm averaging that out to a C. And then Bobby Miller gets an F. He was just statistically the worst pitcher in baseball and was a train wreck out there, and regression that I just didn't see coming. So that was a travesty.
You know, the thing about Bobby Miller is that, coming off that solid rookie campaign, you thought, okay, he's going to take a big leap. And then I think he had one really great start against the Cardinals, like his first start or something like that. And I was like, oh, here we go. Bobby Miller has arrived. And then it just took a sharp downhill turn after that.
All right, we'll do these bench players now. Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, Austin Barnes, James Outman, Tommy Edman, Kevin Biggio, Miguel Vargas. So I'll start with those guys, and then there are a few other bench players, but I don't know if they're as relevant. Kike Hernandez, B+, pedestrian at times in the regular season, but he did have a number of huge clutch regular season at-bats, and then was just one of the differences in the playoffs. And I'm sure Jake will talk more about him. Chris Taylor, F. He was just brutal to watch all season. 202 batting average, but for the most part throughout the season, it felt like Chris Taylor was hitting 100, and I feel like he boosted his stats in the end because he got a number of starts against the Rockies. Chris Taylor is someone I'd like to see off the team this upcoming season. I don't know if they'll make it happen. Austin Barnes, B-. He wasn't actually that bad of a hitter as a backup catcher this season. Not the best defensively and couldn't throw runners out, but I'll give him a B- because the expectations are pretty low. James Outman, after having a great rookie season, he gets an F this year. 147 batting average, basically struck out every time he was up there. Only had 4 home runs, which feels like 3 too many because I don't even remember James Outman hitting 4 home runs, to be honest. But he was just really disappointing. Tommy Edman, A+. Couldn't convince me otherwise that there's anything he's ever done wrong. He's just been awesome. Kevin Biggio, F, because it felt like every time he was up there, he just struck out. And then Miguel Vargas, F as well. He was a big bust. Like, I thought this guy would be pretty good for the Dodgers. Huge disappointment. F.
Miguel Vargas and Kevin Biggio can share that F together. They were just atrocious, but moving on. Tommy Edman, A, absolutely. NLCS MVP, was just an absolute under the radar, massive pickup at the deadline. Could not see that coming. James Outman, C/D. I mean, maybe, just D. I mean, he hit 147 this year, complete regression. Kind of disappointing too, given what he did his rookie year. They seem to have found a huge hole in his swing that he can't fill. So that's disappointing. Austin Barnes, God, I mean, it's C/D. I mean, he's just so not good. But he did hit 264. So there is that. And he was able to, fill in for Will Smith when Will Smith needed a break. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Dodgers could do better backup catcher wise, but it doesn't seem like they're ever going to move off of Austin Barnes because they love him there and they call him the captain. I don't know why. But they do call him that. I've never seen him lead a team or make any type of speech or bring anybody together, but I guess he is the captain according to them internally. So there's that. Chris Taylor, F. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, they just signed you to a huge $60 million deal, and that's what you come up with is just a horrible 202 batting average, a negative 0.1 WAR. I mean, just bad. He needs to do better. Kike Hernandez, you gave him a B+, but I'm giving him an A because that's the only reason they got him was for the playoffs. And boy, did he show up. In case you need a refresher, he hit 294 in the playoffs this year, 808 OPS. He was on base like crazy, 357 on base percentage. He hit a bomb and drove in 6 runs. He was instrumental when the Dodgers put him in the starting lineup, and I'm glad that Dave Roberts stuck with him. So that's, I'm pretty much on board with all the things you said too, Kevin.
All right. I'll give you the next 5 or 6 guys who will be starters. But yeah, quick shout out to Kevin Kiermaier. I guess he deserves a grade B- or C+. And then the other guys like Nick Ahmed Rosario, they're all irrelevant. So moving on. Okay, so these are for you, Jake. Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Gavin Lux, Miguel Rojas, Max Muncy, and Teoscar Hernandez.
Okay, Will Smith. That's a tough one for me because I'm a big Will Smith fan. He is for reasons that we've discussed before, but also reasons unknown. He is not a good second half player, so that is a huge knock against him. So, he was a first half All-Star, so I'll give him that. I'm gonna give him a B-. I thought that he was productive at times. He didn't really have a good postseason, but did come up in some moments and get some hits when needed, but not fully. I expect more from him moving forward, given the fact that the Dodgers just handed him a huge 10-year contract. Freddie Freeman, A all the way. Just him battling with what he had to battle with off the field, also with that ankle, hitting that huge grand. Actually, you know what? I'm going to upgrade him to an A+. That home run in Game 1 of the World Series is one of the coolest moments of all time for me as a sports fan, let alone a Dodgers fan. So that'll live in my memory forever. Him doing the Statue of Liberty on the New York Yankees. So he gets an A+. Gavin Lux. I'm going to go C+. I need to see more from him. He did not do that well.
More from him ever.
Yeah, he has been very underwhelming. And this being, a season where he was generally speaking healthy the whole year, they had to move him off shortstop, which was disappointing. So I'm going to give him a C+. He did come through in some moments and was serviceable at second base, but need more from him. Miguel Rojas, I'm going to give a B-. I mean, he had a really good regular season. He had 283 and took over at shortstop when the Mookie Betts experiment didn't come to fruition, but was bad in the playoffs. I'm glad he got benched for Tommy Edman, but had a above average regular season with the bat. Max Muncy. He did he was hurt for most of the year and was really great in the NLCS. He got on base a ton, but was literally nowhere to be found in the World Series. He kind of had a pedestrian regular season, so I'm going to give him like a B-. And then Teoscar Hernandez, career season, not only regular season but postseason, A++ if that's possible. He had a monster year, and you know how I feel about him.
Not too much that'll be different for me. Will Smith B- because he fell off in the second half, finished with a 760 OPS. Freddie Freeman A+, World Series MVP, battled through a number of injuries, played with broken ribs and a bum ankle, and was dealing with his son with a near-death experience, and still put together an all-star worthy season. A+ for Freddie Freeman. Gavin Lux, D-. He was god-awful. He loses a letter grade for being unable to play the shortstop position, and we had to go through Mookie Betts dealing with shortstop, and then he loses 2 letter grades because he was dog shit in the regular season, was dog shit in the postseason, really wasn't clutch at all ever in the second half, and just wasn't good, and I expect him to be traded. I know if David was here, he'd probably give Gavin Lux an A+, but I'm giving Gavin Lux a D-.
No, there's no way David would give him an A+, but he would definitely give him a better letter grade than we gave him.
Yeah. Miguel Rojas, B-. All the reasons you said. Max Muncy, solid B, because I actually thought defensively he was pretty rock solid behind the position. So I'm going to give him his flowers there. Everything that was hit his way, he was able to pickpocket it very cleanly and basically had pretty clean throws to first base. So, and like you said, he was on base basically every at-bat in the NLCS. And Teoscar Hernandez, A+. 1 year prove-it deal, shined and flourished as a Dodger, and we've been saying to re-sign him. So that's an easy A+
I
for me.
actually think one of the comments we just got from Rebecca Michelle David, I'd give Lux an incomplete. That's really funny.
Oh,
Funny grade.
oh, he completed his season all right. So I would give him a complete, as in get him completely off this team. He's gonna get traded. It's inevitable. I'm
Okay.
throwing that out there now. Where do you
Well, I
play
mean,
Gavin?
if they're moving Mookie Betts to second base, where are they going to put Lux on the bench? So I'm with you on that. I think the writing is on the wall there.
Final crew, and then we'll mention a couple executives and managers, I guess. Andy Pages, Jason Hayward, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. So I'll hit these ones first. Andy Pages, B-. Center field was kind of a circus for him, while right field was like elite, and he dominated against left-handed pitching. Right-handed pitching, he needs a little work at. But all in all, a pretty respectable rookie season for Pages, and he was coming off a pretty significant shoulder injury. So giving him credit there. Jason Hayward, he also gets a D-. I had been begging for the Dodgers to DFA his ass for months. I never really understood why they wanted to make him the right fielder. And once they got rid of Jason Hayward, the team kind of just went on another run trajectory-wise, and Mookie Betts getting back into the right field position paid huge dividends for the Dodgers, because going from Jason Hayward, who isn't good, to Mookie Betts, who's a future Hall of Famer and a top 3 player, definitely makes a difference. Shohei Ohtani, A+, arguably the most impressive offensive season in the last 15 years. I mean, what more is there to say about Shohei Ohtani? He was just the first year with the Dodgers, an absolute sensation, had a few huge home runs in the playoffs as well. 54 home runs, 59 stolen bases, a season that we've never seen before. A+, Shohei Ohtani all the way. And then I think I said Mookie Betts. Hopefully I didn't forget him, but Mookie Betts, I'm giving him an A as well. Not only did he have to play the shortstop position, which was something he didn't train for at all in the offseason, because he was basically at second base for 90% of spring training, but he had to play 3 positions throughout the season, basically hit 290 despite missing a couple months with the hand injury. Didn't really look like he missed a beat overall. And then finally, because I know so many of us were begging and were asking, where is the Mookie Betts of the regular season in the playoffs? Mookie Betts stepped up and was a monster in the postseason. So a solid A for Mookie Betts. He had a really good 2024 year, and now he has 3 championships. Dude is a winner.
Yeah, I love Mookie Betts so much. And what I love about him is that he has fully embraced Los Angeles as his home. And in every sense of the word, he's become much more comfortable in front of the camera with his podcast. And the thing that really made me think that maybe Mookie Betts is just becoming a little bit more comfortable here was when they did an in-game interview on ESPN when he was mic'd up during a game, and just how comfortable he was talking to these guys while playing right field was kind of really cool to envision, or not to envision, but to see. And him, like, he had a little bit of an edge to him this year, which I loved. You know, if you remember before the season started, it was a clip that went around all season long when he made the comment that all the other teams that are coming to play the Dodgers are playing as though it's their World Series. And I'm paraphrasing there, but that's the gist of it. And it's true. It was really true. We got to see that all year. As soon as the teams got to play the Dodgers, they really wanted to beat us. And we rode that all the way to the title. So I agree with all the grades you just handed out to those players. Jason Hayward, it's a little unfair to give him, that harsh of a grade because he really didn't play that much and they got rid of him. But yeah, he wasn't good. And I think the reason they kept him obviously was clubhouse guy, Freddie Freeman's best friend, all of that, and had a surprising year in 2023. So bringing him back wasn't like that stupid of a move, but you could tell that, Father Time is kind of caught up with Jason Hayward.
Hey, he went to the Astros.
Yeah, then he went to the Astros. Andy Pages, I agree with your assessment of him. Really liked that. I really just enjoyed his rookie year. I mean, he kind of flew under the radar with 13 home runs and 46 RBIs, and then had a pretty decent postseason too with his limited opportunities that he had. Shohei Ohtani, A++ all the way. Mookie Betts, A. So yeah, I'm with you on those as well.
Awesome. All right. Got 5 minutes or so left on the show. So hit that like button if you haven't given us your like yet. And I want to make sure if you guys have any questioners and listeners out there, drop those questions in the chat right now. We'll answer any questions you got real quick. And then final housekeeping that I've got, and then I'll pass it over to Jake. 4th annual Incline Awards are live now. You can get your votes in. So let me share the link, and then I'll give you guys a preview of what some of the categories are. And this might be kind of newish to Jake too, because I don't know if he's been able to look at the ballot. But for example, Eric Gagne, reliever of the year, Daniel Hudson, Michael Kopech, Evan Phillips, Blake Trinan, Alex Vesia, pretty stacked cast of nominees. So if you want your voice heard, get that vote in there. You got the classic Gerardo Parra, Ultimate Dodger Killer. Some names in there: Michael Busch, Yu Darvish, Manny Machado, Giancarlo Stanton, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Christian Walker. You can
wait
vote.
A minute. Was Jake Berger on there?
I didn't put him in there.
He killed us too. And Bellinger.
I put Busch as the representation. I know Bellinger had some moments, but I feel like we're covered unless you think we really need to include one of those guys.
I'll take a look. I'll get back to you on that.
All right. Couple more teasers for you guys, like best individual game. Who could forget the Shohei Ohtani having 6 hits with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, going off against the Miami Marlins, which I believe was the game where he broke the 50-50 mark.
I don't know how you top that. I don't even know what the rest of the nominees are, but I don't know how you top that.
So yeah, go ahead and take a look. And then the last teaser, Idiot of the Year, Amy Cuevas, who of the former Bleedlos Taco or whatever, saying she wanted nothing to do with Shohei Ohtani and was good with him signing with the San Francisco Giants. I don't think she was invited back to that podcast. You got JP Hornstra, who published an article and declared it's official. Shohei Ohtani is signing with the Toronto Blue Jays, and then never admitted how wrong he was under the Dodgers Nation umbrella. Then you've got other little things like John Boy for going all out with the Shohei Ohtani being a degenerate gambler, Miles Mikolas with his smart-ass checkbook baseball comments.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Jesse Rogers most recently for trying to paint the Yankees fans who interfered with the Mookie's catch as a hero, and a couple more little tidbits in there. So let me drop the link in there one more time in case I didn't do that. And I'll pass it over to Jake real quick, and then final thoughts.
I think that for that, the Idiot of the Year, I think my vote is going to go to JP Hornstra, just because we expect him to do his job, and he did not do his job, and he was so wrong that host of that podcast for saying that she didn't care if they got Ohtani or not. It's like, okay, well, what's her credibility? You know what I mean? Like, are we expecting her to have some sort of like great take, as opposed to like a JP Hornstra, who we expect to be a good reporter and has been, up until that moment. So that's something to think about. But I'm excited. I'm really excited for the Dodgers title defense, because it's going to be an interesting regular season next year, because the hate is going to be dialed up even more. And all of the takes about how they just buy championships is going to ramp up again. And I can't wait for that, because there is just so much more that goes into winning a title than just paying good players to play for your team. And I think that the fans that make those comments are ill-informed and stupid and don't know the game. So I'm looking forward to all the hate and also just basking in the glory of winning it in 2024.
Yeah. Rebecca Michelle David, I'll get your question in there first. Do you think Walker Buehler will be re-signed by the Dodgers?
I hope so. I
I'm gonna
really do.
I'm gonna be honest. If they sign Roki Sasaki and Corbin Burnes, no, I don't think they will re-sign him. If they sign Sasaki and Snell, maybe. I have a hard time seeing them going after 3 righties though.
Well, let me ask you this question. What kind of deal do you think Bueller's going to get?
So the Dodgers didn't offer him the qualifying offer, which makes me think they don't think he's worth 20 million a year. If another team out there does think he's 20 million a year, he's gone. I think the Dodgers probably are trying to get him between, I don't know, 15 to 18 million if I had to guess. But maybe they
I
maybe
don't
they
know. I mean,
maybe they changed their tune.
I don't know, because with all of the free agent talent that's out there, starting pitching wise, why would you give Walker Buehler $20 million a year as opposed to giving it to someone that is more durable, that didn't have 2 Tommy John surgeries? You know, I mean,
Well,
yeah, he came alive in the playoffs, and we know that to be his game for him to show up in October, but his regular season was so bad that I don't know.
let me tell you this though. Michael Waka just got 17 million a year. Do we feel like Michael Waka is a 17 million dollar a year pitcher?
No, but he was durable for the Royals, and he did pitch well. So, I mean, that is the going rate for a starting pitcher. I'm just wondering if maybe Buehler signs a 1-year deal with the Dodgers to basically, it's sort of a prove it deal to where it's like, okay, you were great in the playoffs. Let's see you replicate that in the regular season.
I think that's the vision, and I hope that's what happens. I'm good with a 1-year deal or maybe 2. Anything beyond 2 starts to get a little murky for me. BC, I voted. When do we find out the results? The Incline award results will come out probably late January or early February. We want to make sure we give the voters enough time to get their votes in. And with all the holidays coming up, I know things can get lost and delayed. So we'll get back to you on that. Javier T, will the Dodgers finally give rookies a chance or let them rot in the minors? We didn't really talk about the Rule 5 draft. I don't really have strong confidence in it this year. There isn't really a player that could be available that I feel like is a must add to the Dodgers 40-man roster. Doesn't mean they won't snub or they won't omit guys, but in terms of, are there any rookies they'll give a chance next season? I mean, I think Robleski, who we talked about with the grades, I could see them giving him some more run, whether it's a starter or in the bullpen next year. Other than that, maybe if they don't have a shortstop and Alex Freeland really proves himself in AAA, they could add him to the roster
If
as
he
a call.
doesn't get traded, Dalton Rushing.
Yep, and that's the other guy I was going to mention. Dalton Rushing, of all the rookies, probably has the most likely talent and potential to be an impact bat for the Dodgers next season. Those are 3 rookies I'm pretty comfortable with kind of giving a higher assessment.
Oh, I like that. Do you see that question? The hardest managerial decision one
Hardest managerial decision?
from BC. It just popped up.
Let me see.
I like that question.
Oh, the hardest one, which was the better managerial decision? Trusting Yamamoto for game 5 of the NLDS or bullpen game 4? He's referring to the new Dave Roberts award. So the award used to be most Dave moment because Dave Roberts would screw up a number of times, but because Dave Roberts had an A+ worthy season as a manager, as well as Andrew Friedman. I forgot to get to those guys. They both had A+.
But we knew they were going to be A's.
So for Dave Roberts, it's now best Dave Roberts moment, but in a positive light, because I do think his game 4 NLDS bullpen management was flawless, and that was a huge win for the Dodgers. But also talking to Blake Trinan in game 5 of the World Series and letting him stay out there for that last batter was also a monumental moment.
To me, the moment for Dave specifically was that Trinan moment in game 5, because that is solely on him. I think that the bullpen game and trusting Yamamoto against the Padres is more of an organizational move that obviously Dave Roberts has a hand in. I mean, certainly he has a seat at the table, But I think that was more of a collective decision to line up those relievers the way they were, to also go with Yamamoto against the Padres in Game 5. To me, the best Dave moment was leaving Treinen in, and then obviously Treinen had to do his job. But that was the best decision he ever made.
Strong argument. Last question coming from Ivy, since it's a good one, then we're out of here. Which ball would you rather keep to have, but you're not allowed to sell it, he's saying? The 50-50 Ohtani ball or the last pitch Walker Buehler threw to strike out Alex Verdugo to win the World Series?
I'm going Walker Buehler, strikeout of Verdugo in the World Series. That is the coolest thing ever. The fact that he did it at Yankee Stadium, the fact that the last time the Dodgers won a World Series against the Yankees, they clinched it at Yankee Stadium. The fact that he struck out a former Dodger, not just any Dodger, but the Dodger that got them Mookie Betts in Alex Verdugo. That ball to me is the coolest thing ever. Obviously, the 50-50 ball from Ohtani is sick. And that's a piece of history as well. But as a Dodgers fan, a moment I've been waiting for my entire life, a regular season World Series title. I'm taking the last out of the World Series for me.
Yeah, I can't really argue against that. If it was one to sell, the Ohtani one, but if it's
Absolutely.
one to keep, the Buehler final out is going to mean a lot more to me for the rest of my lifetime than a regular season home run, because that was the pitch to clinch the World Series. And titles to me are more important than regular season records at this point, especially at that moment. Because like you, I was waiting for a full 162 regular season moment, and that was a huge moment right there. And it was against Alex Verdugo, which is a nice little topping. So since he just joined, you can help this guy out. Jake Bodette. Where'd you get your hat, Jake? Maybe other listeners want it as well.
Yeah, I just sent you the link, Kevin, if you want to drop it in the chat. It's from this store. I've never heard of it, called House of Crowns. Crowns spelled Krownz. And they have a couple of really cool Dodgers World Series hats. They have this one, but they also have it in all blue and all black. So yeah, I saw this pop up and I had to get it because it's just so sick. It's got the 8 titles here, Dodgers 2024, and then the World Series patch on the side. It's dope.
All right, I just dropped the link, so hopefully you can see it in there, Jake. And thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. If you're listening on the audio feed, rate and review the episode and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on the YouTube channel and you're not subscribed to us yet and you like the content, then what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment as well if you're watching after the post live stream, and let us know your thoughts on Juan Soto. Give us some grades as well. And thank you all for watching.